Hey everyone, it's Flakfire. Many Battlefield 5 fans are looking forward to The Last Tiger, the German war story slated for release in December. The single-player campaign puts us in the boots of a German tanker in the final days of the Third Reich, wrestling with the ideas that led the country to ruin. Unfortunately, it looks like that will be the last war story for Battlefield 5. The franchise's global community manager, Dan Mitri, confirmed there is nothing else planned in terms of single-player content after The Last Tiger. For many, this is going to be a grand disappointment. Now, I'm somebody who loves narrative-driven single-player experiences in video games. To me, they serve an important purpose in my overall enjoyment of a game. They provide background, environment, a mood, and a rationale for fighting. It's one of the reasons Call of Duty Black Ops 4 feels like it's still missing a part of its soul, and I don't think I'll ever fully be sold on its premise. The war stories in Battlefield 5 surround British soldiers in North Africa, French colonial troops in France, and resistance fighters in Norway. While these are all very interesting premises, EA and DICE's decision not to include further war stories in Battlefield 5 might alienate a large part of the game's core audience. I'm of course talking about Americans in particular. World War II is an important part in American history, and many of the biggest battles relied heavily on American involvement, most notably D-Day and the push to Berlin, not to mention the bulk of the Pacific Campaign. It's highly unlikely DICE won't add the Americans as a multiplayer faction, but it seems like a misstep not to include a war story focused on the largest part of the Battlefield audience. Even if DICE wanted to stick with the unseen and untold theme of the game's single player, there are tons of exploits to build a war story around. For example, it'd be great to see a war story based on the 442nd Infantry Regiment, comprised of Japanese-American soldiers. This regiment saw fierce fighting in France and was probably the only unit, American or otherwise, to actually conduct a banzai charge on European soil. The 442nd was decimated in combat and is the most decorated unit in the history of American warfare. Devs could also showcase the Battle of Okinawa. Too often, the U.S. Marines are left out of World War II in a video game narrative, and this would be a great opportunity to introduce a Pacific campaign. Other games have also tackled the Pacific theater, Call of Duty World at War to name one, and they were critically praised for exploring that side of the war. The decision to not include an American war story in Battlefield 5 ranks up there with DICE's decision to have the French as a DLC in Battlefield 1. It might make sense on paper, but it doesn't make sense in action. I'm also surprised at the decision because this also means we won't see a Russian war story. The Soviet Union suffered the most casualties out of any participant of World War II, and the news probably won't sit well with those players either. So what are your thoughts on the news? Is there a war story you really wanted to see? Would you have liked to see maybe a Polish or Italian campaign? Tell me down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to hit that notification bell to get the latest updates on Battlefield 5. And as always, thanks for watching.